A 25-game losing streak in the conference. Now, only one non-conference top 50 victory for Baylor. That came against Notre Dame. Scott Drew built the schedule so he could get some wins. A lot of high-profile programs have done that as well, but now the conference play is here. They're seeing their schedule start to step up a little bit, and they're going to have to, in turn, do the same thing if they want to enhance their resume for going to the NCAA tournament. You know, you look at some of those teams, one of them, the reigning national champion.
I love what Florida's doing right now with this young basketball team. Give Billy Donovan credit. Yes, Jay Lucas and Nick Calafas are the two freshman guards playing well. What he's decided to do is to press full court. They have survived with the pressure defense full court wide. When you get guys playing full court defense, you play more aggressive at half court. So maybe they're not sound defensively, but for me, that's solid.
Yeah, I look at Arizona State. Coach Herb Sendek has done a great job. They've got two outstanding players, and James Arden and Jeff Pendergraft. They're 4-2 in the Pac-10, but they've lost their last two games. They Washington State today, but on the road, they play 3 straight road games. UCLA, USC, and Arizona. We're going to find out a lot about Arizona State in the next 2 weeks.
You know, and you might be able to accuse Indiana of having a soft non-conference schedule, but they knew they had enough tough games built into their Big Ten schedule to be really good at the end of the year. What do we know about Indiana? They've got the best scoring two-guard in the country in Eric Gordon, and they've got one of the top 5 big guys in the country in DJ White, who has been an absolute man all season long. There's been nobody that's been better than DJ White. He's averaging a double-double, especially over his last 8 or 9 games. He's been averaging about 20 points, 11 rebounds. He's shooting over 63% from the field. He's running the floor. He has been the dominant big guy, not only in the Big Ten, but I think you can argue outside of Michael Beasley, who's been better than DJ White.
I don't know if you can find anybody else. He's been terrific. So what are you telling me? You don't really care about Indiana's RPI numbers, strength of schedule? They're good? They're good enough in your eyes?
Hey, they're passing the Billis eye test. That gets them in.
Wow.
They're good.
Wow.
Really good.
Okay, well, let me throw some other numbers at you and see if this team is also passing the Billis eye test. And for you guys, perhaps the Achilles heel for North Carolina has been defense. Now, they're 235th in scoring defense. Don't care about that. They play fast, a lot of possessions. But 108th in field goal percentage in the last 6 games. You see how things haven't been that great defensively for them. So I think the question is, how much, if any, does North Carolina need to change if the Tar Heels want to win a national championship?
Well, offensively, they don't need to change anything. They're second in the country in scoring at 91 points a game, but defensively, they have to be more consistent. They've been up and down all season. They got away with it with Clemson and also Georgia Tech, but they weren't able to get away with it against Maryland. And this is a team that needs to get stops. Stop dribble penetration, contesting shots. And if they do this, this team has enough talent to get to a Final Four and win a national championship.
Let's go back to when Sean May was on the team and they win a national title after playing for Roy Williams for 2 years. Tyler Hansbrough, who's probably the best big man in the country, in my opinion, he's got everything going his way. This team reminds me of what Florida was last year, waiting for March Madness. Yes, championship week into the second round. They know when they lost last year to Georgetown, didn't get to the Final Four. Ty Lawson and company, yeah, they want to get to San Antonio, but like what we saw of Florida last year, they lost some midseason games. When Joe Kim Nolan came around, they go 6-0 in March, and that's what Carolina's going to wait to do.
I don't think this team is like Florida. And I don't think you can compare them to the 2005 team, because the 05 Carolina team had Jackie Manuel and they had Raymond Felton, who were really vocal leaders. You know, this team, I think if you say they've got a problem, and it's a relative problem because they're top 4
A lot of teams are like that one loss.
Relative now. But the thing that would worry me, do they have an on-off switch on the defensive end? When they get into a half-court game, can they take you out of what you do enough to win a game defensively when they're off? Because they're not a great shooting team. They can really score, but if you can lock them down into a half-court game, is that what's going to be the demise for them?
How much has your opinion of them changed, though, over the last couple of weeks? At one point, you were saying you thought they were the best team in the country.
I did. I still think they're right there. I mean, you know, we're saying they're number 3, maybe number 4. They're right there to win it all.
And defensively, that can't be inconsistent. Your shot is always going to be up and down. Defense is the one thing that you have to bring every night, and they haven't been able to do that.
I disagree. I think they're going to make it. They Maryland beat them at home, but look what Gary Williams has done. He beats Duke twice last year, Carolina. He'll be ready for taking on Duke this weekend. I'm not going by. I buy Carolina to get it done.
Well, you look at America's vote right now on ESPN.com. How far will North Carolina go? 45% of the people out there think the Tar Heels, despite perhaps the defensive struggles, will go to the Final Four or perhaps even farther. Still to come on College Game Day from a rocking Southern Illinois. What impact has the Patriots' pursuit of perfection had on a couple of teams still perfect in college basketball? And who will be the last four in? Hey, you know what? Tournament time is closing in already, headed to the second half of the season. Who's sitting on that bubble at the moment?
Welcome back to College Game Day, driven by State Farm.
A constant reminder in the Southern Illinois locker room where they stand in the Missouri Valley Conference. Uncharacteristically, the Salukis sitting in the middle of the pack, just behind Creighton, their arch rival. They'll play them tonight. Salukis have won regular season or conference tournament the last 6 years. And they also have a rooting interest in the upcoming Super Bowl. Giants running back Brandon Jacobs finished his college career as a Saluki, rushing for nearly 1,000 yards in his final campaign before becoming the go-to back for the Giants. And here he is after transferring from Auburn 2004. He exploded onto the scene. Big body, great speed runner. Jacobs making his foundation for his run to the Super Bowl here at Southern Illinois. And he is just one of the notable alums who claim SIU's own Jim Belushi, TV star Dennis Franz, NYPD Blue, actor who's won numerous awards. Also, there's Jenny McCarthy. I know that's one of Digger's favorite models, comedians, and actresses. And then Richard Roundtree, Shaft. Does it get any better than Shaft? And then you have the current bassist for the Rolling Stones, Daryl Jones, all of them called Carbondale home and matriculated here at Southern Illinois. So a rich and diverse history here at SIU, and Southern Illinois has also created a culture of winning in the Missouri Valley Conference. But right now, it's almost like the Bizarro Valley. You have Drake, which has turned things upside down, the only undefeated team in the conference right now. And Southern Illinois, which has the crux of a veteran team coming back, sitting a game under 500 overall. Why do you think the shift in the Valley, Hubert?
Well, I mean, I don't think they did a good job in non-conference play. When you look at the Missouri Valley, they've had multiple bids into the NCAA tournament 9 straight years. Because this year they had 3 top 50 wins. Last year they had 15 top 50 wins. And because they did not get it done in non-conference play, I think for the first time in the last 9 years, the Missouri Valley is going to get 1 bid into the NCAA tournament.
Wait. Drake's in the top 10 right now in the RPI.
Why? They played one top 25 team, and they lost by 6.
But they haven't played anybody terrible.
So what? They haven't played anybody good.
They beat the formula.
Well, let's look at the Valley. Last year, 1 team in the Sweet 16. Year before, you've got who? Bradley and Wichita State. Southern Illinois got it last year and made a great appearance in representing their conference. I think conferences all make a shift sooner or later because of graduation and what you see going on with younger players. Look at the A-10 this year. We got 4 teams going after it. When you look at what's going on with Dayton, obviously Xavier, and then Rhode Island, and UMass making some noise. So it's not so much that it's not a conference shift. You go through recycling, and that's what's going on in the Valley.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more a function of cycles. A few years ago, Wichita State was one of the best teams in the league. They've taken a little bit of a step back with different guys graduating and having new people in. Same thing with a team like Bradley. Southern Illinois is going through it right now. I mean, Southern Illinois lost Tony Young, who was their best on-ball defender. They also lost Jamal Tatum. That stuff happens. You don't see it happen in the bigger conferences quite as much. But I agree with Hubert on Drake. I think Illinois State may be the best team in this league.
Okay, well, let me ask you, is it a 1-bid league?
Yes, 1-bid.
I wouldn't say that yet, but it's close. I mean, I think he makes a fair point.
Other conferences have stepped up. You look at the Atlantic 10, West Coast Conference, Horizon League. They stepped up. Missouri Valley
Conference tournament winner goes. Drake, you better win the conference tournament.
Yeah, you know, and Chris Lowry.
RPI.
Chris Lowry already knows, too. Southern Illinois has to win the conference tournament if they want to go to the NCAA tournament for the 7th straight year. I will agree with you on this. I don't think Drake has a lot of margin for error. I think you'll start seeing them fall should they start losing. But Keno Davis's team hasn't started losing yet on ESPN.com. We'd like for you to log on, go to the Sports Nation poll, tell us which game you want us to pick. You see your choices included there. Northern Iowa and
Eric
Drake.
Coleman. Watch out for Eric Coleman.
He's been tough. Northern Iowa's made noise. Drake coming off a victory over Creighton, who's coming in here tonight to take on Southern Illinois. We will have plenty of picks coming your way. We'll pick winners for you. These guys will tell you who has the edge in the games coming up on Saturday. And the big fella in the middle, who has a bigger guy in the middle, but will he be able to make a big impact for North Carolina, Asheville? The story of Kenny George reaching high coming up. If you are in the dog pound, the student section in Carbondale, there is no bigger game than when Creighton comes to town, and they will tonight. And they're already frenzied in anticipation of the huge game coming up against their arch rivals. It's huge regardless of the rivals and of the records. It is the height of irony that North Carolina Asheville's Kenny George has written several short stories and short screenplays. As an aspiring filmmaker, one would think that George's genre would be tall tales. After all, he is a 7-7 behemoth in the middle. He leads the nation in field goal percentage. He is second in block shots. And as Darren Lynn tells us, George has Asheville standing head and shoulders above the Big South and dwarfing pretty much everything he sees.
Big guy can't find the handle, or yes, he can.
I'm Kenny George. I'm 7'7", 365 pounds.
Here's an alley-oop to George.
93-inch wingspan, size 28 shoe.
First time I saw Kenny, I was on the track. He got closer and closer, and he just got bigger and bigger.
Wow, first of all, the biggest guy I'd ever seen by far. I was just curious to see if he could play basketball.
This is one guy that's really as tall as they say. You know, I've recruited for years and years, and usually there's shrinkage and shippage. Kenny was as big as he was supposed to be.
Kenny George is the tallest player in the history of Division I basketball. He leads the nation with nearly 5 blocks per game.
We protect the three-point line and say, if you want to dribble in there, go ahead. You know, if you feel like you can finish, that's on you. We're going to see you do it a couple times before we adjust what we're doing defensively.
You get a lot of this, you know, what do I do? Looking at the coach for advice, and really, you know, there's no answer for him, and you kind of chuckle to yourself when you see it, because there's really nothing that the kids can do. It's just physically impossible.
Despite his defensive presence, George doesn't even start.
Kenny George is the most dominant player UNC Asheville's ever had. He's not conditioned at this point in his career to run up and down for 40 minutes, 30 minutes, or 25 minutes.
What he lacks in stamina, George makes up for in discipline. He has never fouled out of a college game and averages only about a foul and a half per contest.
My coaches always tell me just keep my hands straight up, don't bring them down on shots. And when guys go up on me, I just keep my hands straight up. My arms are long enough, so I just keep my hands up. It's gonna hit my head. The ball's gonna hit my hands, and that's a block for me.
He doesn't take fakes that people give. He doesn't have to leave the ground to block a lot of shots.
George can also dunk without leaving his feet. His size has allowed the Bulldogs to design a special inbounds play around the basket.
I guess you could call it automatic. If he's in the game, that's what we run, and that's probably not going to change anytime soon.
But George's height is not insurmountable. In early January, when the Bulldogs played then top-ranked North Carolina, George was dunked on for the first time since high school.
Hansbrough. Little rocker step and takes it in for the jam.
Kept my hands straight up. One thing I forgot to do was jump.
I think Kenny got a little lazy with putting his hands up and moving his feet, but it won't happen again, and I think Kenny will make sure of that.
Kenny George's team on the road against Charleston, and to get a good night's sleep in the hotel, he has to sleep diagonally in the bed. Here's Kenny George life size. His arms aren't even extended, Digger.
Just give me the ball. I'm going to take the ball, go right to his face. He can't block it. I can do it, Reese. Bills, give me that pass. I'm going to go after him.
There's not a chance. He's averaging over 4 block shots a game. That's second in the country. It certainly helps your defense to have a ticket taker in the back, but you don't have to have it. Nobody who's going to play in this game tonight, Southern Illinois and Creighton,